So there's this ESPN controversy that they apparently took down all of their social media tweets that they were going to be in Knoxville this weekend. So I don't know if you saw this, but everybody panicked. Brittany saying, by the way, Brittany is just incredible. And I'm going to tell you why later in the show. Brittany says people were freaking out about that. Looks like it was just a copyright issue with the music. So apparently they did. And unfortunately, Amanda and I know a little bit more about copyrighted music than we originally ever dreamed of wanting to. And yeah, that's why you'll hear this from time to time.
Oh no.
Yeah. Why? Because you can play clips, so you'll hear that this is. It's not the actual Zeppelin song. So see, so we've learned a lot about copyright issues, and apparently Kirk Herbstreit has as well. So with copyright issues,
Or somebody from ESPN did.
Yeah. So all of those tweets had to be taken down. So it's apparently a copyright issue. You can read more about it on offthehooksports.com. So everybody's still coming. Everything's cool. Everything's kosher. The balls are going to show up, and so is ESPN, and so is SEC Nation. So only the fourth time in a regular season game that both will be there. And at a regular season game, ESPN Nation and College Game Day will be there. So they usually split those things up. So, Amanda, I want to go back to a conversation we had. You said that the Big Ten was better off in their TV deal with Fox and CBS. I think you're seeing the ESPN machine. And you and I have discussed privately issues with their politics. I had issues with them as an employer, but they still carry an awful lot of weight. I don't see social media being a buzz about where Fox Sports is going to be, but I'm not in those Big Ten circles, so maybe I'm wrong.
I think it's not really where Fox is going to be or whoever's going to be. It's what's the best game. I mean, really, what's the best game? And hands down, this is the best game. I know we have Ohio State and Penn State, but really, that is just waiting for the shoe to drop on CJ Stroud's Heisman campaign. Let's be honest here. That's what we're all tuned in to watch. Do I think Penn State's going to upset Ohio State? No, I don't think anyone really feels that way. But I do feel like we're going to watch CJ Stroud go meh in the Heisman race because he's actually playing someone.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see. Right now, he's like has a 60% chance of winning the Heisman, which seems insano to me. So, like, subscribe, and share, comment below, and more people can become aware of what we do every weekday at 8:30. Brittany said someone on their social media team probably got an earful at ESPN. Yes, I would imagine that was the case. Do you imagine?
Intern.
And even Tennessee has responded and really they not only deleted all the tweets, but they kind of just went dark. So for a few hours, everybody's wondering has something happened. And so Kirk Herbstreit took it to himself to tweet out that, hey, we will be there. ESPN College Game Day will be there. So everything's fine. But I mean, I don't know why ESPN didn't delete the tweets and then tweet something else out that didn't have copyright issues. Like I can't figure that out. But
do it at 2:00 in the morning.
That's a good point. I don't know what the copyright issues are, but you would think ESPN would have that figured out. There's probably somebody making well into the 6 digits that's in charge of things like that. And you really don't want to mess that up. I don't know. Maybe they let an intern do it. There is that period where you give an intern a little bit more room to grow and a little bit more responsibility. It doesn't always go well. I had one intern that I took with me to Bristol Motor Speedway, and I was covering the race there for the News Sentinel. And I said, I'll be there around 10. There was no hard set time, and it was the Friday before when they're doing the practice. And So I sent him up there and I said, hey, you can go ahead and get a feel for the place, but I'll be there around 10 or 10:30. So he got there at 9:45 because he's a go-getter. You would know who he is. And he texted me. He said, hey, are you almost here? And I said, yeah, I'm about there. Why? What's up? And he goes, this is insane. I almost just peed down my pants. So maybe if you've been in the infield of Bristol, I mean,
All the time.
yeah, I mean it's pretty insane. I mean, if you haven't been, I mean, there's zero room. You almost get hit by a car going 35 miles an hour, pretty much every 5 minutes. So if you don't know where to go, he was, let's just say, very, very nervous and scared and openly honest about the fact that he was in over his head. So I was like, dude, I'll be right there. And so maybe this ESPN social media guy, maybe he got a little much and it was a little too much. So let's get to the down and dirty at 30. It's brought to you by Honeybee Coffee. Why 30? Because we start each and every show weekdays at 8:30 Eastern time. So wherever you're listening, we love for you to take part live. But if you're listening and recorded, that's where we are. So set your clock and your reminders because we love visiting with you. And the down and dirty at 30 is brought to you by Honeybee Coffee. Tell me about Honeybee Coffee, Amanda. It's just darn good. How simple is that?
I mean, it is really good coffee. But it's made with the top 5% of beans in the world, not even like just the nation, in the world. So it says a lot to what they're doing at Honeybee, especially, when you can't get good products or you can't get homemade stuff or, you can't get anything local. Honeybee is the place to go for coffee. Just hands down.
It is absolutely fantastic. I love it. We will have a Try It Again Tuesday as well coming up, and I've already got mine selected. Tennessee coach Josh Heupel addressed two absences right after we went off the air yesterday that occurred during the LSU game during his weekly press conference on Monday. Talking about Gerald Mincey, just said he wasn't available. Now, that opened the door kind of. I don't think he meant to say it like this. I don't think he wanted to say it was a left shoulder, right knee, or whatever. I think he just wanted to say he wasn't available. And he was a little bit, I thought, maybe vague on purpose. I think it was vague just to cover up what injury, what ailment that Mincy might have, because I was told by a Tennessee representative that it was injury related. But the way he said it made me wonder a little bit, to be honest with you, if perhaps there was some sort of suspension at hand. So I don't think that's the case. Uh, so that looks like an injury. And I thought that the entire press conference was a little bit more tense. And I'm sure part of that was the Jalen McCullough arrest on Sunday. But he also, I think, is a little stressed maybe about Alabama. And Caleb and I theorized that maybe he didn't have the greatest practice. I mean, that is still a thing. That still affects how coaches are and how they react after practice. So Tennessee would like to have Cedric Tillman back for the Alabama game. Preseason All SEC second team receiver. He was very open, Josh Heupel was, about that was the goal. That's why they did the tightrope surgery, was not to get him back for LSU. Man, it was to get him back for the Alabama game. And ultimately it's gonna, in this day and age of people skipping bowl games and all that stuff to look out for themselves. Tillman did tweet over the weekend he loves his team. So I think Tillman's going to do everything he can to come back. It will be right at a month. And we saw Tua Tagovailoa come back from the tightrope surgery. If you made me bet a mortgage payment today, Amanda, I say that he plays.
I would say that he plays too. And I think it's going to be a big upside for Tennessee because as we said, Alabama does play the bend don't break type defense. So they, for the most part, unless you turn the ball over 4 times, they keep you out of the end zone throwing. Like, you don't throw, wide receivers don't catch touchdowns. It's mainly, running, especially in the first 4 games. They held wide receivers to 0 touchdowns. So with that being said, this is might be the actual, adding Cedric Tillman might be the way that Alabama stops bending and just breaks because you have Brew McCoy, Jalen Hyatt, you have Cedric Tillman. This is going to be the best wide receiving group that Alabama's seen this year, hands down.
And with this group in particular, you talk about the bend but don't break. So the idea is not to break in the red zone. These are big receivers. Not to say Alabama's small, but at the 5, you can throw jump balls to these guys. These aren't like little dudes that are scurry around and make long plays and then stall in the red zone. So I don't think that's going to happen. So some more news from yesterday. As I lost my screen. All right, so Tennessee's football team is just. I just think they're in a bad spot with their secondary. It's not to say they can't overcome it, but you have the Jalen McCullough arrest already. The Warren Burrell out for the season. I think this is going to have to be a really, really aggressive defense up front, and you saw a lot of that against LSU. So it's very doable. But if they're not able to do that, Amanda, then I don't see Tennessee secondary suddenly going from below average to even above average or good. I think they're going to have to get pretty fortunate there up front, making some things happen, pressuring whoever the quarterback might be for Alabama. I did get a little bit of a tip that the sense is at Alabama that Bryce Young will play on Saturday. That's not reporting anything. I don't know. But I'm just telling you that somebody told me close to Alabama, they get the sense that he will play on Saturday. The sense. But Amanda, you were actually at the A&M game. He was announced as a starter, right?
Yes.
Was he announced over the PA? I don't know what they did in the press box, but was he announced?
Yeah. I actually have the video from it. And because I took a video of people just going nuts when he was announced, because as every school does, they do the starting on our defensive starters, and they give you their position, they give you their name and the picture, and they do the little whatever pose. Well, they did all of that, and then they went to the offensive side and they waited until the very last person, and they announced Bryce Young as the starter. And I know I went to Twitter and said, apparently Bryce Young is playing. He is announced in the starting lineup, and just caught all kinds of from people. But it was announced. I was literally in the stadium. I took a video of it. They announced that Bryce Young was starting the game. So
I guess that's some gamesmanship.